God, why is that so loud?
Last time on Curse of Strahd, everyone was drunk. In real life, not in game. I actually rewatched our screencast from last time, and we didn't seem that drunk, except you guys were giggling and laughing a lot. So last time what happened was after, so y'all beat some Zerkers essentially out on the road, and you came to the city gates. There were some guards as per usual. They let you in. You passed the church. You saw some especially creepy looking mists surrounding the church as you came through the western side of the town. You were traveling east. You came in through the western gate of town. You saw a boy digging a fresh grave in front of the church. You bulldozed right by him and went to the dressmaker's.
Probably not important.
You went to the dressmaker's shop. And you met the dressmaker, whose name you did not learn. She has a name.
Nobody cares.
And you chatted with her for a little bit about a dress, about creating or crafting a dress. You told her you had 50 gold. She said that she could make a dress, that a quality dress would take her 9 days to make. And you all argued for a very long time about whether or not that was okay. Probably for like a good 30 minutes, you talked about the dress. And eventually you left.
Sounds like it's a quest or something.
Eventually you left saying, well, so that was another thing was, I think it was Sindri who pointed out that you have other items in the quest log that you could do while the dress was being made. But Ramis was very insistent that the lovers could not wait. And that the dress needed to be made. The lovers would not wait for the dress. And she told you that she would make this dress and that she could like rush it and do not as great of a job in about 3 days. So you all left her with some cash and you agreed to allow her to make the dress. And on your way out of the building, you all ran into none other than Lydia. The Baroness, which by the way, like you were talking about her in the shop and I was half listening to the recording and I was super drunk while we were doing it. So I don't totally remember, but you guys talked a lot about making a reference to Lydia's dress and how much you didn't want the dressmaker to know that you were referring to Lydia's dress. And there's like a whole...
Because we were going to steal it.
Oh,
we were
was
going to
that...
steal it from Lydia.
Was that the conversation that was happening? Okay, all right.
And then Lydia offered it without any
she was
kind
like,
of pause.
Yeah,
like,
and
we definitely weren't going to try to steal it or anything. That would have been ridiculous.
Yeah, you guys were coming up with, that's correct. You guys were coming up with a game plan to like distract Lydia and the Baron and for like Sindri to sneak in there and get the dress. Yeah, you guys came up with a super elaborate like idea. And then Lydia is like, yeah, you guys can just have it. And then you told Ez that you had a long-standing relationship with the local tavern, and you guys decided to head there to post up for the evening before a long day of needing to chat with various peoples the next day. So I think that you guys actually did go to the inn and decided to retire for the evening, or at least went to the inn. I actually don't know if you retired for the evening. I can't remember.
As did.
Ryan was distracting me as I was trying to listen to the end of the recording.
I mean, I think that was the intent, was to retire for the
presence.
evening. So unless something pressing came up while we were doing so.
Yeah, we can rest.
Yeah, you guys can retire. You also can like check out the tavern if you want to. It's been a few days, a little while since you've been there. So it's up to you. We can rewind a little bit to when you guys enter the tavern. You can decide to head straight to grab a room and head straight to bed, or you can talk to anyone in there that you'd like to.
So just for my recap sake, we're buying this dress for that girl
Vasilka,
that is being hosted by
the abbot.
The abbot dude. Why is he hosting her?
So the abbot is attempting to dress Vasilka in a gown
to pass her off
so that she will be an appropriate bride for Strahd.
Yeah,
right.
He's bonkers.
Because what
Bonkers.
Strahd needs in order to relieve the land of Barovia from its curse is someone to replace the hole in his heart that was left by Tatiana.
Heart.
And he's hoping that this girl.
That Vasilka will do it because the abbot has been spending much time teaching Vasilka manners, teaching Vasilka how to dance and etiquette. So he
Isn't
believes that
she
Vasilka will be
like
the
a-
perfect bride.
Isn't she like, I don't want to say brain dead, but kind of
She's
the Walking Dead?
Yeah, basically.
You don't really know, but Ramis did examine her. And the one thing that Ramis did notice was that, firstly, it's like she could dance okay. It wasn't brilliant, but it was all right. And she did not utter a peep.
Yeah, that's what I mean. She was very sullen, very
did not speak.
apathetic.
Yeah,
Mm.
she didn't speak. She didn't seem very lively.
Yeah.
Literally.
But you could
Okay.
also see the seams through her powdered
She's
skin.
a fucking flesh golem, y'all.
Yeah, there's a lot of fleshy experiments happening in that
I'm
abbot's
not gonna
house.
kink shame anyone.
So you're not going to king shame him, but you're going to judge him for attempting to create true love.
That's different.
Yeah, that's just dumb.
Okay.
Shaming
What a
and judging
monster.
are different.
Okay, well, Ramis is walking into the blue water, right? I think he's just looking around for familiar faces as he's walking towards the back to the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
Does he see Erwin or anyone unusual or?
So as you enter into the Blue Water Inn, you do see a few familiar faces. The first one that you recognize is Danica, who is tending the bar. It's about 8:30, 9 o'clock p.m. at this point, so relatively early-ish, but still definitely nighttime would be an appropriate time to retire, should you decide to do that. But you do see familiar face of Danica, who's tending bar. You smell familiar smells. You smell the aroma of
Purple mash.
no, actually, the wolf steak stew that you had had
Ooh.
previously. And the wolf steak stew, upon smelling the aromas, you quickly notice the two wolf hunters that you have seen previously in the bar, Soldar and Yevgeny. And they are sitting, drinking their half pours of wine. She's super
fucking losing her mind.
She's crazy right now. Lovely. You see her little ears. And you see them sitting with 2 bowls of wolf steak stew. Wolf steak soup? Stew? Wolf steak stew. Yeah, we're gonna go stew.
Stew.
It's a stew. And other than that, the two, other than Danica and the 2 wolf hunters, the keep is relatively empty. Mind you, it is early and, early-ish.
And how is the most venerable Danica this evening? Hello, my lady. Ramis gives a great bow as the party walks in.
I want to do a new accent for Danica.
I don't even remember Ramis.
Use your own. It's Danny.
No, she doesn't have. She's never had an accent before.
She just sounds like she's from the valley.
Like, hello.
Hey. I actually really do want there to be a valley girl in this, but I want to be thematic.
Danica.
So
Danica.
yeah, so counter.
Oh my god! Hi guys.
Ramis quickly walks away.
She says, the normal. And then she turns back over her shoulder and she says, Brom, get out of there, will you? And then you hear like a rustling sound followed by what sounds like the clanking of like a metal spoon hitting the ground. She says, "What can I get for you?" She's like Scottish now.
Yeah.
Only a little though, because that's as far as I can go.
We are rather weary. We would just like to stay the evening if you have room.
She says, for our honored guests, absolutely. And she goes and she fetches a couple of keys. She fetches 2 keys. And you hear like a slapping noise. And she comes out and she gives you the keys. And she says, "Can I get you some stew? We've got some fresh meat tonight."
I noticed the hunters.
She says, "Yes. They brought us in a freshly skinned wolf tonight."
Oh,
It was all wolf and not any human, right?
She furrows her brow quite curiously.
There are werewolves in these woods.
She says, "Nah. This is just a plain old wolf."
That's good to know.
oh.
Well, it were a wolf.
I was hoping for the human variety, but I will make do with wolf. Yes, perhaps I shall eat before I head to bed. Thank you, Danica.
It's not a problem. And she sticks her head over her shoulder once again and yells back, hold on, there's 5 of you. 5 new bowls. And suddenly Erwin appears, curious as to 5 guests in the tavern wanting all wolf steak stew, which has a hefty price on it normally. And upon seeing the lot of you, he says, "My favorite patrons." And he looks towards the 4 of you, and then he sees Esmeralda standing behind you. And he says, "New lass." And
Who dis?
new phone, who dat? She walks up, her mastercraft wood leg making contact with the wooden floor, making a loud echoing noise throughout the tavern. And she says, "I have heard about you." She says, "My friends tell me that they have good rapport here. What did they do to earn that?" And Erwin replies, You've heard about the wine situation, I presume." And she says, "Only recently." He says, "Yeah, well, unfortunately, we've been having some trouble down at the estate. It was overrun by druids and all sorts of creature. Things have not gotten much better, but my father and my brothers are attempting to recover." And she says, "Huh." And she says, Druids at the winery." He says, "Yeah. It's been a situation for quite some time." He says, you should have them fill you in." And he heads back into the kitchen to
Her name is Esmeralda.
Oh, yeah, he didn't ask her name at all. No one asks names. He gets back into the kitchen to prepare the stews. And Esmeralda turns towards you guys and she says, "You fought druids?"
Yes, the raven folk and the creepy tree folk out there at the old winery. Yes, the raven folk seemed kind enough, but the creepy tree folk, these druids, they were much more trouble. They had taken over the winery.
She says, "That is quite interesting. From what I have heard, druids are mostly peaceful."
have no reason to doubt you. These were definitely not peaceful druids, however.
Hmm.
They were
They,
like were druids.
they have done something to harm the winery's ability to generate grapes for wine.
Hmm.
It is among our tasks that we agreed to perhaps investigate an opportunity to fill Barovia with the joy of wine once again.
They were using a cursed staff. It was a
Yes.
strange wood that when we broke it, many creatures under their control fell.
Yes, the tree branch with the goo that dripped from it when I broke it. All of the tree abominations collapsed once the magic of the staff was broken.
She says, huh. I have read about something like this in Van Richten's books. This sounds like a very appropriate type of staff for where we are currently situated. I believe that this is a staff from a vampiric tree.
I do believe I remember hearing something about that from the were-raven folk who are trying to get the winery back up and running. They asked us to investigate, though we are concerned that we may not be prepared to take on such a task.
Yes, a Gulthias tree is very dangerous and should be heeded with much caution. I do not know much about them, but I do know that they are very old and they feed on things that are unnatural.
I have no doubt that Strahd would be involved with such a beastly tree.
She says that is something that maybe would be worth investigating at some point.
Indeed.
She sighs.
As
I am
we-
starving.
Did we tell you about the silver dragon? The order. We ran into one or two of their order, and they insisted that we come to see them, that we share a common goal.
She says, I have heard rumors and stories about a silver dragon, but I have also been told that it has not existed for quite some time here in Barovia.
Well, if it does not exist, then perhaps we witnessed ghosts, though they did seem quite friendly and rather strong. Also rather adamant that we join them at some point at our convenience.
She says that also might be worth investigating. Where did they tell you to go?
We have access to the map, right? We roll it out. Can we roll it out? Let's say that we're sitting down at the table and Ez is ordering some food and maybe the steak stew is coming out. We roll
Yeah,
out.
you can roll out the map.
Kane points on the map. I vaguely remember where it is on the map, but I know he would remember. Points out on the map where they asked us to join him. I think it did.
Argynvost Hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right. Oh yeah, there it is. I actually have a note on it. ARGYNVOSTHOLT.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Very good spelling, Kane.
Argynvost Holtz. And yeah. And I think maybe in real life you know this, but I'm gonna have like a character,
Vladimir.
maybe a knowledge. This would be like elements or something like that.
Knowledge elements. I don't
Like
think that
it's
exists.
mostly like science.
Arcana?
It wouldn't really be magic. It'd be more science.
Well, you can
So-
look at the skill checks and
Yeah, I am.
pick one.
Medicine. Maybe medicine. Yeah, let's go with a medicine check. I'm gonna go with medicine here.
Do one of those. What is my medicine? My medicine's a +3. Do you want us to all roll and see? Which one of
Yeah,
us has
anyone
any
can
clue?
roll. Remis throughout
I got
the
a 19.
7.
Oh,
Zug
look at
got a
that.
1.
You can even see. Oh, Zug rolled a 1. Oh, I love how you
Well,
can
I
see.
rolled a
Good.
3, but I had a -2 modifier.
So Kane is able to, so after Remy says the name out loud, Kane is able to kind of just like solve a little tiny puzzle in his mind. Which is like not a complicated puzzle, but there's just like a wisdom check that you hit, which is that AG is the elemental symbol, argon or argin for silver.
Oh, I can. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So like the AG on the periodic table, which stands for argin or argon, it stands for silver. It means silver. So Argin Bost Holt is kind of like namesake silver house, translated into our words.
But why would the silver be an Argenvosholt, Kane?
Funny you ask. Argent. It's actually roughly translated into silver, so you could say that it is the namesake of the Silver House.
Yes, this makes sense.
And she says, who did you run into that told you about this place?
Vladimir Horngard, actually. He is apparently the leader of the Silver Dragon.
You did not run into him.
Yeah, wasn't it?
Well, we know that he's the leader, so either
You
we
heard
ran
his
into him
name
or
before from the person
maybe
that
the guy-
you did run into.
We
Okay,
ran
there
into
you
like a shambler who told us some weird zombie knight.
It was a revenant.
A revenant, yeah, that's what I said.
Revenant. All I
Um,
know is I took a note about his name, and he is the leader of the Silver Dragon.
yeah, Vladimir, you heard the name Vladimir Horngard to like seek out Vladimir Horngard, the leader. And as ponders this for a moment and she thinks about it, and she
Is
says,
silver not quite potent against vampiric varieties of minions?
I don't really care if they are alive or dead, but a silver house might have silver weapons. We should go.
I did get quite a good feeling from that spooky revenant fellow.
Did you now? Did you get a good feeling from the lumbering 7-foot, almost undead guy?
He was the only
Well,
one on the road that didn't attack us.
Roaming around in the woods in the middle of the night.
Interestingly, he was the most friendly thing we've run into so far outside of this tavern.
Yeah, you see, not everything is going to attack you. And at this time, Danica brings over your bowls of wolf steak stew, and they smell very good. Very fragrant and earthy and a little spicy. Not like spicy hot, but like spicy herbal, like spices.
This is
Why-
the first
why
warm
is
meal
this
that hasn't
too earthy?
disgusted him.
And upon tasting the wolf steak stew, it does not taste nearly as good as cloven stew.
Oh, snap.
It's too bad.
Not at all. It still tastes good, but cloven
Well,
stew
they
is like,
are
"Mwah."
they are much more used to working with various meats, shall we say, up at the old monastery.
The abbey.
Yeah, the abbey. There you go.
It's kind of
The
monastery like.
meat monastery.
Yeah, the meat monastery. So you all dig in and enjoy a delicious bowl of wolf steak stew, but not as delicious as questionable meat stew.
Spam stew.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Stuff
And
goes into it.
you wolf it down.
Nice.
Wow.
I don't get it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not very sensitive to the
I-
wolf that gave its life for this steak stew.
Yeah, seriously, we're just gonna make fun of it.
Wow,
Yeah.
just mocked it.
Yeah. And the wolf hunters with their hallowed eyes and their sunken eyes and their hallowed souls. They make eye contact with the table, with Sindra specifically. And Sindra gets up and she walks over to chat with them for a couple of minutes.
Damn. I think Ramis will nudge Zug and be like, "Is our friend putting the moves on 2 men?"
I wouldn't put it past her.
It's the only thing that makes me stop eating, and I just will look and I watch with a spoon in my hand,
Staring.
hunched over.
Drip.
I have a picture of that.
Yes, you do. And Danny's arm is wrapped around and doing the same thing.
What is this picture?
That was on the cruise.
The picture of the soup, like,
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good picture. Oh yeah, like I have the soup too. Oh,
Mhm.
we had soup together. That was nice.
Oh, the soup eaters.
Remember we had soup together. So Sindra looks over and notices all of you staring, and suddenly looks uncomfortable.
Ramis will give her like a goading look, like, "Yeah, you got it. Yeah." Okay, girl. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So Sindra comes back over and she sits down and she says, "Does anyone have a need for a fresh pelt?"
Whose fresh belt? How did it go? Which one? Both of them?
whoever pelt it, dealt it.
She says, "It's a fresh, intact pelt."
I don't like. Is this a gift for like lovemaking?
Sindra like gets up and like walks away and just like grabs a key and walks upstairs.
Ramis continues eating his soup.
Not interested.
Yeah, that would not be a good note to leave for McKenna. By the way, your character got it on with Ramis. We're sorry. We couldn't stop it.
Not with
No,
Ramis.
Ramis is egging her on to get it on with the wolf hunters.
Oh,
That's
if I
what-
recall correctly, one of them is ruggedly handsome.
Yeah.
One of them is
Yevgeny.
rugged.
Yevgeny is ruggedly handsome.
Yevgeny.
I can tell you which one is the handsome one.
Because Zoldar is a bald bearded hunter.
it is Yevgeny. Yes, Yevgeny is the handsome one.
Nice.
Yeah. He's ruggedly handsome.
He is ruggedly handsome.
Sounds
He has
like
a
some
he has a
type.
lot of scars on his face. He has
Rugged.
long, tattered hair,
It's a little
and
too rugged.
he has a nice like stubble going on,
The
and
bar's very low.
a
in
very
pierogi.
strong jaw, very
True.
strong.
I mean, if you
square.
can kill a wolf, you're already ahead of the curve, though. So.
That's true. None of us can fucking do that.
These are just regular wolves, not werewolves. So Sindra storms away and heads upstairs, and Esmeralda is not far behind her.
Jesus. What a fucking.
Wow.
They are not impressed with your misogyny.
Ramis was just like. Just continue eating his
Women.
We are clearly the worst things in this town.
soup. I'm just trying to support our friend. I did not understand.
Does anyone want to buy that fresh pelt?
Do we need a
No.
pelt for anything?
Could be useful. Lots of
Like, is it like.
just a fresh, intact pelt.
No.
Just putting it out there.
Is
No.
Kane aware of any particularly good uses for fresh intact pelts?
I mean, you can use it to be warm
Ah.
or to trim a wedding gown.
Trim the wedding gown. Oh,
Yeah,
is she
you know,
trying to
like,
give us? Is this the wall market from Final Fantasy VII, where we have to find like the lingerie, and we got to find the perfume, and we got to find the dress, and we got to find the shoes?
Now it
and the
is.
belt trim.
Now it is. quest.
We're going to be graded on the quality of this dress.
You need to seduce these guys to get the best quality pelt for our dress.
Easy. No competition, apparently. Jeez.
How much? What would you trade for this pelt?
So you're gonna go over there and talk to him.
Yeah, may as well.
Okay. Who are you going to approach and talk to? Because both Zoldar and Yevgeny are there.
If I remember correctly, the last time I spoke to both of them together, I offered them alcohol and spoke jovially of their hunting practices. So they should remember me fondly.
They do remember you.
Period.
Not fondly.
They don't have as much character and personality as you might remember.
I know what I'm going to do. I'm gonna approach and go, well, if it isn't the well admired hunters of Barovia, I have a tale to tell you if you have a moment.
Yevgeny cocks his eyebrow.
Listen.
Yevgeny cocks his eyebrow at you and lets out a slight smirk, and he says, always prepared to be entertained by a story.
Yes, well, in your hunts, have you ever encountered anything a little bit more than wolf?
A little bit more than wolf, like a
Yes.
dire wolf.
Well, it is rather dire, though not specifically a dire wolf. That is quite different. No, I'm speaking of something even more dangerous, and somehow even less wolf.
You speak of the werewolves.
Yes, that's correct.
Which one's talking to me right now?
Yevgeny.
Yes, Evgeny.
He says, no, we do not go out at night for that specific reason. We like to make coin, but not at the risk of our lives.
So, you've never seen one for yourselves?
Zoldar actually turns to look at you because he wasn't looking at you before. He was just looking down at his plate and his drink. He didn't give a shit about you. And he now turns and he looks at you. And firstly, you can see his eyebrows hang so low over his eyes, like Neanderthal style, that you can barely see his eyes. It's mostly just eyebrow. And he looks like this. And he looks up towards you. And he says, of course we've seen werewolves. He doesn't laugh at the end. That was me. He's very serious.
Yes, we actually had the misfortune of encountering 2 such beasts on our recent trip. Have you ever encountered a werewolf by itself or in a group?
He says, it is foolish to travel this cursed realm at night, and we won't do it unless the payment is exorbitant.
Are you saying that they don't come out during the day?
And they make eye contact with each other for a moment, and they both scoff, and Yevgeny lets out a chuckle.
I'm pretty sure we encountered the werewolves that we encountered during the day. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah. And they they say, no.
Am I remembering the encounter incorrectly? I feel like it was during the
you're
day.
not remembering the encounter incorrectly. It was in the evening, but it wasn't
totally dark.
Nighttime.
Twilight.
We barely escaped with our lives. I was curious as to whether or not you had any passing advice for our party in case we run into any such beasts in the future.
And Zoldar again looks up towards you and he says, run.
I believe the werewolves are quite a bit faster than my frail old frame, I'm afraid. Not quite as spry as I once was.
Yeah. And Yevgeny is he's got like a square patch in front of him of, judging by the way that it looks and a little bit by the way that it smells, fresh pelt that he is stitching into his cloak. And he says, yes, well, if you ever need a day guide or a night guide for quite the coin, you do know where to find us.
That we do. I believe you have been quite reliably present here in the tavern.
Which is what we do. It is the way that we know. We sleep, we wake up, we hunt wolves, we sell, we use our coin. We have dinner, we have drink, we sleep, we do it again.
Are you quite fond of the wine here?
We are quite fond of the wine anywhere these days.
Not much of it left, I fear. Have you heard about the Wizard of Wines?
Evgeny says, we have heard Erwin and Danica speak of such things.
Well, we aren't going immediately, though. We know that there will come a time when we need to take action in order to revive the winery. When that time comes, perhaps you might be motivated to join us for more than just coin. Perhaps the promise of rejuvenating Barovia's wine supply could entice you.
Evgeny grunts. He says, if we were to if we were to join you on a foolish endeavor, and he looks over at Zoldar and he says, which we would. He says, it would certainly need to be, there would certainly need to be payment beyond just the free drinks.
Fair, of course. I'm simply asking. I'm curious as to your position on it. We aren't leaving immediately, nor even are planning on doing so, though the time will come, and it's good to know that you will be here, perhaps if we need the extra manpower. And Kane nudges him in the sizable, no doubt sizable bicep.
He like shifts away from you and he says, our rate is around 100 gold pieces a day.
Each?
I suppose I should hope that it takes less than a day then.
Yeah. And you see Zoldar grab the tip of his bow and he takes his hunting knife and he scratches a like brisk and like sudden notch into the top of the bow with the knife going outwards kind of towards you. Like, and then he puts his knife back down into its little, what do you call it? Container?
Sheath?
Sheath. Is it called a sheath for a knife? It's called a sheath for a
scabbard
sword.
for a sword, sheath for a smaller thing.
Sure. And upon this, you notice that the bow actually has close to what looks like 100 ticks.
On a bow?
Zoldar or
Zoldar, yeah.
Zoldar.
A pretty long bow.
Zoldar, what may I ask? Are you keeping tally on your impressive weapon there?
He says, when we make a kill, I document it here.
Very impressive. Nearly 100 kills by my passing count?
He says, I only started counting this year. And his eyes dart across the walls of the tavern. And following his eyes, you're able to pinpoint the wolves' heads adorning the walls of the tavern. He's alluding to this being their handiwork.
How many wolf's heads are there?
Just based off where you're standing and looking around, you can see 3 of them. There's one on each wall.
Yes, quite impressive. Well, I had best leave you going. However, I did want to ask of this pelt you have here. We are working on a little project, and it seems that you have a pelt, and I'm curious as to whether or not you might be willing to partake in a transaction of sorts.
He says, we are always willing to partake in a transaction. And Yevgeny flashes out the pelt that he was grabbing a square from and lays it down on the table. And it's pretty sizable. It's like 20 by 30-ish inches. So pretty big pelt. And it's, kind of like not perfect. It's very jagged. You can see where like the legs are. It's kind of grotesque. And he says, this one ought to stay together. He says, 10 gold pieces.
I'm trying to. Does Kane know what a good pelt is worth? Does he have any idea?
There's not really a standard.
Zug, would you come over here for a moment?
I stop eating my wolf steaks too.
Don't pretend like you haven't finished that stew already.
It's my 4th helping.
Okay, he's not bringing you a 4th bowl for free.
I trundle over, hunchback, looking disgruntled. I haven't been following the conversation.
Zug, what do you think this pelt here is worth?
I take the pelt in my hands. I'm examining it.
Being quite generous with the size. There.
Petting it like it's a puppy.
Yeah, I'm running my fingers through it.
Zug, do you know anything about pelts?
Is this the pelt of a flea? My nature's
come over
-3.
here. Ramis, if you would. If you're not busy, I can do with your assistance here.
Reese will pop up, do a little dance over.
A little jig.
Over and be like, yes, King.
I'm curious as to whether or not
He's
you
just
have
staring
any
at the wall
opinions.
over there, waiting to be addressed. Yes, King. Yes.
Ramis, I'm sorry to distract you from staring at your own reflection. Ramis, I'm curious. Do you have any opinions on perhaps the value of this pelt? I'm curious.
Yes. King. Ramis will look at it. Can I do a roll? Some kind of like.
Is there not a like
a nature check or something? Like
it needs to be like appraisal.
Just survival check. Nah, it's not really applicable here, huh?
I tried to do nature, but that's
nature's good.
Mine's -3.
Yeah, I would do nature, or I would do like
animal handling
to like see if they're just like.
Can we
insight? Yeah, maybe insight.
So okay. Instead, Ramis will kind of pretend as though he is like
roll deception.
This isn't deception.
You just said pretend.
Yeah, do it. I want to RP it. Do it.
Okay, that's a 12.
Okay.
He's acting as though he's inspecting.
Here's my insight to see if I can tell. I have no fucking idea.
And while he is doing so, he is like actually looking at the 2 hunters to see if like they're giving us a fair price. Oh, that's a 23. Rolled a nat 20.
They are overcharging you by a couple of gold. And you know that. This is a little higher than it should be.
Ramis will look at them and say, this is worth no more than 18 gold. But given that you're giving us inflated amounts knowingly, we're not interested. Thank you very much.
Oh, man.
It would appear
Should we
as
tell
though
him?
the decision's been made.
Wait, tell me what?
They offered it for 10.
Oh. Wait, I thought it was 20. I thought they said 20 gold.
No, they
And
Oh,
This
come
is
on.
worth more than 18.
Give me the fucking benefit of the doubt.
Well, you weren't there at the table when they.
I know, that's why it was so good.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
But he did roll a nat 20 on his insight check. He should know that what the thing is actually worth.
So yeah, you know it's probably worth closer to 7 or 8 gold.
Okay. Okay. Ramis will start over.
But you don't know how much.
Because he doesn't know.
Yeah,
how much
yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Ramis will look at them and say, this seems to be worth 5 gold at best. If one were put good use to it. But Kane, what do you need this for?
I was just curious. It doesn't hurt to have supplies on hand if they're fairly offered and to support the local businesses.
He looks over at Zoldar, and Yevgeny is like,
Businesses.
Zoldar continues to look down at his stew with his furrowed brow. Expressionless.
What?
Soldar, can you see us? I can't see you very well.
I think Ramis will ask why. What were they charging?
Well, they were offering 10, and I had my suspicions. No shade thrown to someone trying to make money on their hard-earned pelts, though it would be remiss of us to not strike a negotiated price.
Yevgeny looks at Kane and at Zug. And he turns to Ramis and he smiles. And he says, for you, sir, 8 gold.
7 gold and you have yourself a deal there, Zoldar.
or Yevgeny, whichever one said that.
Persuasion.
Persuasion it is.
Leave it to the bard.
Well, that's not good for me. You better have something better up your
Do
sleeve.
we actually want this pelt? Is what
yeah,
I would like to know.
yeah.
Okay.
We're
We
gonna add
can
it to the
walk away
Health
from
has
this.
many uses.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
To be fair.
Ramis will laugh. Okay, this would not look good on you at all. That is why he's charging you so much. I would like
That's
to
fair.
play.
Very little looks good on me, Ramis.
And what about someone like me? How much would you charge me for this belt? I believe
Or are you flirting?
I could make it look much better. Put it to much better use.
All right, flirt with him.
Kane nods in
20.
appreciation.
I mean, it sounds like he's into my flirting.
for you. 9.
It does sound like he's into your flirting. And
He's a very lonely man.
he's a lonely man. You are quite
Really?
pretty.
Everyone's very lonely when they look at Ramis.
When you've had enough drinks, everything's pretty.
Yevgeny smiles and he says, for you?
Ramis is slightly taken aback.
For you, I could part with it for 7 gold. It would look quite dapper around your shoulders.
Wasn't
Yeah.
7 what it was just worth in the first place?
Nah, it was worth like a solid 8. That's why I tried to.
It's worth 7 to 8. 7 is like an average deal.
Oh, Jesus.
But keep in mind, everything in Barovia is very marked up. So an
Yeah.
average deal in Barovia is a good deal.
Ramis will shake his hand, say, one wolf killer recognizes another.
And as you reach your hand out and your hands meet, there is a spark of electricity between the two of you.
No, I don't. You have to roll to see if I feel that.
He
Okay.
wants to roll with you on that wolf fet.
Okay, did it. Ow. Fuck.
You feel nothing.
Remy says,
you get
"No,
a
really
shot?"
towards this man.
You don't remember this man's name.
Yeah. Remy will give him a nod and then like whisper again, "Who are these people?"
Kane will hear that. Ah, well, excellent deal, Yevgeny and Zoldar. Good work now. We shall be on our way.
Oh, our old friends. Yes, thank you.
Okay, who's my accountant?
I got it. I subtracted the
7
Okay.
gold from the group
7
pot.
gold. Yeah.
And you, Ramis has acquired a fresh, large wolf's pelt.
Ramis will immediately hand it to Kane.
And Kane has acquired a fresh, large wolf's pelt.
Let me add
Okay,
it to
we're
my inventory
gonna
real
go
quick.
ahead and put that in the bag. That is apparently Kane's responsibility. A fresh. How did you describe it? Fresh.
Large wolf's pelt. It
Large
will remain fresh
wolf
forever, but
pelt.
large wolf's pelt. It's a large,
Ah.
definitely a big wolf's pelt.
By my approximation, gentlemen, we should perhaps find a way to process this before it becomes a large rotted wolf's pelt.
Anyone know how to cure pelts?
That would be definitely some kind of survival check.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe
that'd be
probably
survival or
Syndra.
nature.
Syndra as
Sindra
my
probably knows.
Ramis will think for a second and say, maybe I know a thing or two with a 19.
Wow.
it's not like knowledge. Survival is like doing a thing. So you
Yeah.
can attempt to cure it with the knowledge you have, and a 19 roll will do a sufficient job.
Excellent.
Okay, so Ramis
We can put that in the bank.
will
for later.
know if he was going to attempt how he might go about it.
Yeah.
But while it is fresh, why don't you just keep it this way? It looks more ferocious.
It is a stark charcoaly gray color with flecks of light gray and white.
This was a beautiful animal.
Yes, it was, Ramis. I agree.
It is now dead, though. Very, very dead and stinky.
Fix that musk.
Well, we had quite a lively evening, didn't we? We should perhaps retire and
blue
get an
water.
early start.
Yeah, I didn't expect you guys to spend 15 minutes with the wolf hunters. All right.
Hey, you put a pelt in front of us. We're gonna
I
turn
did
it
put
into a
pelt in
party.
front of you.
we had to have it.
You did really need to have that pelt.
Hey,
All right,
I'm
y'all
trying
wanna
to
head to sleep?
engage.
Yeah.
Okay. The night carries on. You hear the calling of ravens throughout the evening. Every once in a while, waking up to a echo chamber almost of ravens calling at each other and joining into the calling.
We like saw it once. It was like a tree just outside the
Wait,
inn or something. That they're
We
all-
know that the ravens are like quite possibly were ravens, right?
You know that many in the family are in fact were ravens.
Do I remember the names of any of the were-raven clan that we met over at the
Davian was
Wizard of Wines?
dad.
Was it Davian?
Yeah. So Davian was the father. Erwin is the middle son that you ended up meeting. You also know Danica, who is Erwin's wife.
Wait, can I
and-
write these down? Davy?
Davian.
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 Erwin.
is
And
the blue water
Danica?
man.
Danica is his wife.
But there were the two other sons.
And you've
who,
also
like,
you've
did
heard
the
of like
adventure.
Erwin and Danica. You've heard them refer to Davian as the old crow. Yeah. interestingly.
And where do I hear the crowing from? Is it coming from close?
It sounds like it's coming from like outside of the inn, like above you.
I'm gonna be like, Davian, Erwin, Danica, are any of you out there?
He's like yelling in the middle of the room
Sure,
while like other
I'm just
people
a
are sleeping.
That's right. I'm just a crazy old man. I can get away with all kinds of stupid shit.
Is Ramis in this room or the other room?
You get to choose your sleeping arrangements.
Ramis is in the other room.
Yeah, there's a couple of rooms. I'm guessing poor Sindra was stuck in the room with Kane.
Poor Syndra. She will wake up, hopefully not murder me.
Yeah. She punches you in your sleep.
She's got cotton in her ears anyways.
She's troubled enough in her sleep.
There
I
is
don't
no
think I could be
reply.
in trouble. Oh, well. King goes to sleep.
The sun rises and peeks its way in through the windows. And
Wait, Erwin and Danica were ravens?
We
I
don't
thought they were
know.
the innkeepers.
you actually only have confirmation, supposedly, of the two brothers being were-ravens.
Yeah.
Okay.
Adrian and Elvir.
Adrian, that's their names. But we assume that it runs in the family, at least the dad.
Yeah, you make some assumptions.
But we don't know that Erwin, and especially not Danica. We don't know.
Yeah. But there are lots of ravens around, and you have noticed that outside of the Blue Water Inn, there are ravens that are like perched on top of the sign and on the rooftop that are just kind of looking out and around.
But didn't we also hear towards the beginning of the campaign that like Strahd controls ravens or something too?
You've heard that he can control like minions, or
not ravens in particular.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
You didn't necessarily hear that.
He definitely has a few Vistani in his pocket. That's the definite thing that we know.
Yeah.
You have heard that he has Vistani spies that work for him.
A couple of them brought us into this Barovian land.
Yeah.
Okay, we go to bed. Sleepy time.
The sun rises and hits your eyelids in the morning.
Could have sworn someone was yelling last night.
Sindra wakes up and looks at Kane.
Kane wakes up fully refreshed. Sindra.
Shooting daggers into your eyeballs.
Looking rather haggard this morning. How are you feeling?
She ignores you.
Oh.
Sindra seems significantly meaner.
I'm RPing Sindra as she should be played.
Ruiz will head downstairs and await the companions from the other room.
Esmeralda is already downstairs when you arrive.
Ruiz is not waiting for her.
She seems to always be awake before the rest of you. This is the first time you may have noticed it.
Ez, how did you sleep?
She says, like a log.
How much did you sleep?
She says, I don't get that much sleep these days.
It's impressive that you seem so chipper despite such a limited amount of rest. What's your secret?
A haunted soul.
She snores. That is the secret.
She does not snore.
She does.
Okay. You just make up story facts.
Ramis is telling people this.
She doesn't.
She does. Anyways, should we get on with our quest?
Yes. What did we want to pursue today? I am quite interested in visiting the Silver Dragon's Order.
We need to tell the dressmaker to stop. Try to get their gold. And we didn't get the dress from
No, we did not. We should visit Lydia. You're correct.
Lydia, yeah.
Yes, why don't we? I have an idea, Hermes. What if we collect the dress from Lydia, pay our dues, say hello to the family, and perhaps make our way back to the dressmaker, or we could visit her first. Perhaps drop off the pelt with her and ask her to make some lovely modifications with it. Maybe we could enhance this dress a little bit, create some distinction from the fact that it was Lydia's, make it something of its own.
Hmm. Okay.
Well, that was easy.
No persuasion check.
And do you want to persuade? I don't think you have to persuade a non-NPC.
Why don't we stop by the dressmaker on our way to see Lydia?
Yes, I will see what I can do in terms of maybe recouping some of our coin.
Ez, have you ever worked a wolf pelt before? Do you have any advice for us here?
She's yawning. She's not as rested as
As you
thought.
lied
She
to us.
yawns. She yawns and mid yawn. She says, "Oh, and she looks up at you and nods. Like that all made sense.
Well then,
Yeah.
shall we be on our way?
Hmm. Yes. Rumis will head out the door
Okay.
of the Blue Water Inn.
All right. You guys head out the door and you're headed towards the dressmaker.
I'm assuming it's kind of on the way to the
No,
estate.
not really, no.
How far out of the way is it?
Not that far out of the way. So the dressmaker shop is north. It's like northeast of where you are, and the Baron's house is southeast of where you are.
Ugh. Okay, we'll go to the dressmaker.
All right, you guys head out to the dressmaker shop that you visited last evening. And it doesn't take you very long to get there, about 10 minutes to walk over. And the woman sits inside at her sewing machine.
Good morning.
As you enter the shop, she looks up from her sewing station and stops what she was doing.
Is the dress complete?
What was her name again?
We don't know her name.
Wow. Wow. We
You did
suck.
not ask her name. No names are getting asked in this campaign, man. And she says, "Hello." No.
I'm just kidding. But we would like to cancel our order.
Ah, Ramis, not quite cancel.
We would like to cancel.
We would
What?
like to
What?
make a change to our order, if at all possible.
Her eyes are like darting back and forth between the two of you, not sure where to look.
Remise will turn.
Like away?
Yeah, away from her. And start just wandering around the shop.
He has a short attention span, don't blame him. We apologize for the confusion. We happen to have met an old friend who had a lovely dress that she's willing to part with for our cause.
This is like right after last night, like you talked in her shop about like how you knew the Baroness who had a dress, and you were like talking about stealing it. And she's like right there, and she heard everything that you guys were saying.
Yeah.
I just want to remind you of the silliness of the situation. Please continue.
Yes. There's very little lightheartedness in Barovia. We have to create it in our own creative ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I would suppose we could divert a portion of the funds that we left with you in order to change that order. We have a pelt that we'd like to prepare for uh, creating some creative flair for the dress, something to set it apart.
At this, Ramis will perk back up and march back towards the two who are conversing.
Welcome back, Ramis.
Kane, we are borrowing this dress. She did not say we could have it to modify.
I understand you're no tailor, Ramis, but you may find it interesting to know that you can make modifications to dresses that are not irrevocable.
So you want to ask her to make these changes, go to the wedding, and then we bring it back and have it unchanged?
Well, we don't know what's going to happen to the dress when we pass it along. You know the clientele we are working with.
Exactly. So why are these changes necessary?
It's not necessary. Very little of what we do is necessary, Ramis.
Maybe you, Kane. I am trying to solve the mysteries of Barovia.
Excuse me.
What?
She says, I would be able to make modifications that were not permanent.
Yes, exactly. See, a skilled craftswoman.
Oh, yes.
You second guessed her, Ramis. Shame on you.
Ramis looks around at all the clothes. Yes. How could I?
Wow. Don't mind him. He's just grumpy. He didn't sleep too well, apparently. I don't know.
How could
why.
I with Esmeralda snoring the entire night?
Esmeralda looks at you and eye daggers into your eyes.
Give her a wink.
Esmeralda, I don't think that we would be too disappointed if you managed to gouge an eye out or two.
Ez says, it seems like this kind woman. And she walks up to her and she says, can you tell us what your name is?
From the lady who doesn't even give her own name.
And she says, Danya? And Esmeralda says, yes, it seems as though Danya is more than willing to make the accommodations that we seek. Shall we procure her the dress so that she can begin the accommodations?
Agreed. Lovely idea, Ez.
And she says, if you two could stop arguing like children, we could get on with our day. And with that, she nods to the dressmaker and exits the shop,
Mission accomplished.
leaving you guys in there with her. And she's still like,
Thank you for your time, Tanya. We'd best be on our way.
mhm.
Zug was never there.
Zug didn't even walk in.
Doug's still asleep.
He's still sleeping.
He's still in
Doug
the
is
tavern.
eating breakfast. You guys just left.
All right, so you guys head out, and I presume are heading towards the Baroness's home.
Yes, Lydia. We're on a first name basis.
It's true.
Lydia, right?
She did say, "Call me Lydia."
Oh, Lydia. Yes, but this is the DM speaking to you, not Lydia. Mhm.
Much more horrifying individual.
You don't know Lydia. You should ask Sindra. So you walk south to the Baron and Baroness's mansion. And it takes you about another 10 minutes to get over to the foyer of their house.
On the way,
Right behind you.
Kane is going to have a discussion with Sindra about talking to Lydia about the plan. She's our face to Lydia, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Sindra, who has been awoken by you in the night, is actively avoiding you.
Sindra, what's wrong?
And she looks at you, and you can still see the bags under her eyes. No words need to be exchanged.
Sindra, you really need to get more rest. This is not a good sign. We have much to do today.
Can't even drink.
So, what is the game plan?
Yeah, well, Lydia has that lovely dress she's willing to let us use. I believe you should be the face forward for us on this one. Talk to her about the general plan.
All
Try
right.
to leave out some of the more gruesome details.
That woman gives me the creeps.
Which one?
Lydia.
Well, I believe that's true, yes. Very few people we have met here in Barovia that do not give us the creeps.
Um, she says, "Sure, I can do that."
Excellent.
Or I could be more like McKenna and be like, "Sure, I can do that."
There you go. That sounds more like Sindra.
Yeah.
Gotta role play McKenna as Sindra.
That's what that was. Yeah. That's what that was an attempt at doing. So you approach the house, and there is a giant pumpkin at the entryway, like giant gourd.
Kane, I've been
yes.
thinking about these modifications more. We must leave this town as soon as possible.
That's true. This festival is troublesome. I don't believe they have a very good track record for festivities.
Not with us, at least.
Let us procure the dress here. We'll leave it with the dressmaker, and we have plenty of other things we could do, don't we, Ez? Those silver dragon folk seem fascinating.
She says, "The sooner that we can get out of this Vistani-hating town, the better for me."
Yes, agreed. Sindra, perhaps we should speed it up a bit. I know you're not fully rested, but we really need to get a move on here.
You're all like walking at the same pace. Fuck.
Hustle.
So the giant gourd sitting in front of the house, it's a bright reddish orange color. It's looking quite festive. And there is a young man who is carving shapes into its backside.
I really wish I knew that magic mouth spell I've heard so much about.
Just make the eye socket talk. Oh my god. That's an inside joke from our other campaign for those of you who are unaware. My character has a spell called Magic Mouth that she casts all the time on everything that basically makes inanimate objects speak.
Lovely.
And it's very creepy. All right. So Sindra walks up to the front door. Ez hangs back quite a ways, is not interested in conversing. Which was similar to the situation actually last night. You noticed that Esmeralda had a similar response last night where she was not interested in conversing with Lydia. Sindra walks up to the front door and she knocks on the handle. About 30 seconds later, a handmaid appears and opens the door. And she says, "Yes, can I help you?" Sindra says, "I'm here to see my friend Lydia." And the handmaid says, "Yes, come follow me. I'll take you into the dining area." And with that, the handmaid escorts the party, Sindra and whoever else is willing to venture into the house, into the dining room. which is, as per usual, decked out with doilies and fancy frilly tableware. And with that, we'll end for today because I don't want to role play the rest of Syndra's conversation. I think she should do that.
I agree.
And we'll end there. Also, who entered the house? Syndra,
I
Ramis,
think, yeah, we probably all should.
everyone but Ez. Ez is hanging back.
Yeah, Ez seems to have an aversion to this family. Fair enough. I wish I could stay outside as well.
You could. All right, so everyone headed in. Esmeralda stayed out front. Okay, and with that, we will end there for this evening.